college football week number 9 betting show with myself and the encyclopedia. How you doing today, Connor?
Doing great. Doing great. How about you, Joan?
Good. I'm doing pretty good, especially after the type of weekend I had last week where I believe all the games that I gave out either on our opener show on Monday and on Friday, as well as the plays before kickoff. Early on Saturday, I went a total of 8-1-2, which is amazing. And even if you got the best number on each of those games, which mainly for the other two that pushed, which were two of my best bets that pushed, was Cal. Cal showed -2.5 sometime on, I believe, Friday and Saturday morning. So you would have cashed with UCLA. If I said Cal, excuse me. You would have cashed with UCLA against Maryland. That game pushed at 3. I believe it went to almost went to overtime. They kicked the field goal to win. Good little comeback there for UCLA. A back and forth game again. This Maryland team cannot close out games. UCLA, the hottest team in the country, some would argue. But yeah, and then the other one was Notre Dame and USC. I had USC plus 10 as a best bet. It ended up pushing, could have easily lost, could have easily covered. A really weird game, was pouring rain. Notre Dame's kicker missed an extra point, missed a field goal, and then Marcus Freeman late decided not to kick a field goal. It would have been a very long field goal. I believe it would have been at least over 45 yards. So it wouldn't have been a gimme, but he went for it. They got sacked on third down, went for it, turnover. USC kind of squandered that game and ends up in a push. The closing number, I believe, was 10.5, 11. A lot of 11s out there. So if you got it late, then you had an amazing day along with me. You probably went 9-1-1. The one loss being the terrible Shane Beamer led South Carolina Gamecocks, who I will never bet on again. Never bet on them again until they fire Shane Beamer, which should be pretty soon. If they don't beat Alabama or make it a respectable game, I would almost guarantee Shane Beamer will get fired because with all these coaching changes and the turnover during this cycle, if you're going to fire a coach, it has to be this season, this off season. Otherwise, you're going to be left with your hands in your pocket, after next season. So if you're going to do it, you got to do it now. And I think it's going to happen. But yeah, it was a great day. How did you do last weekend?
It was another winning weekend. Went 3-2. I'll admit both of my losses were. I was pretty surprised, but especially with one of them. So let's go ahead and get into my weekend. I won with Utah State last Friday. That was a trend that I had been following. Utah State, guys, over the last decade plus, is 9-2 against the spread versus San Jose State. That's something to follow there. Mm-hmm. And San Jose State has not won in Logan, Utah since 2007. So I took Utah State -3, and they ended up backdoor with the backdoor cover there. Perhaps I was a little bit fortunate with that one. That's one of the first times this year that I'll say I was not on the unfortunate side of a close game. I'm always having the bad beats when I lose the close ones. Whenever I lose, it's normally close. Yeah. But that one I found a way to win. So Utah State was up by 2. San Jose State, all they needed was a field goal to win. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, there's no way I can actually cover here. Mm-hmm. Well, Utah State gets a stop on fourth down, so they force a turnover on downs. It was a 4th and short. And so I'm thinking, okay, Utah State's probably going to run out the clock, and I'm still not going to get the cover. Well, Utah State drives the football, gets a couple first downs, and then they get held in just the perfect area of the field to where they have to kick the field goal to put themselves up by more than a field goal, to put themselves up by 5. But at the same time, like, they didn't want to punt to pin San Jose State deep, and they didn't. There wasn't the right time amount in the game to where they could kneel because they still had to get one more first down, but it was also too far to go for it. So it could not have been a more perfect scenario for me to get the cover there. So I had the backdoor there. Southern Miss minus 3.5. They covered. They beat Louisiana on the road. I believe the final score was 25-10 or 22-10. They had they late in the game. Southern Miss forced a safety. Then they got the ball back, and the rest was history. So I got the cover there again with the Golden Eagles, and I'm on them once again. They have covered the spread in every single game in Sunbelt play so far. And then I did the Alabama and Georgia money line parlay. Both those teams actually ended up covering. Georgia with the backdoor covers, the most backdoor cover.
Yeah, it was the same scenario that you were just talking about. They kind of went, I believe, because I had like a nice bet on Georgia, and they run the football I would say like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, and then Ole Miss comes up, makes a great tackle, stops him short of the first down marker. Because if he makes the first down there, Georgia's just going to knee the ball out. I believe Ole Miss was out of timeouts at that time, and they kicked the field goal. It's good. Georgia got the cover. Very, very fortunate cover, mainly because they went down multiple touchdowns in that game? I know they were at least down 7 points, but I feel like they were down at least 2 scores, maybe 10 points or 14, 13.
I think they were down by 9.
9? Okay. Yeah. Because the Georgia defense was awful. They played terrible. So I'm kind of skeptical on this Georgia team because of that. Alabama destroyed them. Ole Miss basically destroyed them. Georgia's a second half team. It gets talked about plenty. But yeah, that was another one that I was definitely fortunate to get the cover as well.
So part of that money line parlay, first of all, I was very confident with both Alabama and Georgia defending their home turf. And I was also going back to my priors in the preseason where I'm like, okay, I don't think Ole Miss is as good as what they were last year. Now, I know their schedule's been pretty manageable, so this could be a decent sell high opportunity for Ole Miss. And we were correct about that. And then the same for Tennessee. Now, this was a team that I was even lower on than Ole Miss entering the season, and they had looked pretty good against some teams that had kind of underachieved with some of Tennessee's opponents. And so I just thought that Alabama was the right side in that matchup. Now,
100%.
I wasn't sure if Alabama was going to cover. I think the spread was 8.5. They ended up covering, but the total yardage really shows like the flow of the game was closer than the final score said. But I certainly thought both Georgia and Alabama were the right sides there. So that's why I took the moneyline parlay. We cashed in on that. And then my 2 losses, one of which I was very surprised by. The other one is like, okay. So the one I'm surprised by, and this team was actually fortunate to win. They didn't even come close to covering. Well, technically they came close to covering, but not by game flow. Was Tulane minus 9.5 hosting Army. This is something that I've talked about this during the course of this season with you, John. The middle tier of the American struggles outright and against the spread against the top tier in the American. That's been a common theme in the American for several years running now. And I still think Tulane is one of the top teams in the American, maybe not the top, but one of the top. They're certainly in the top tier, while Army for this season is in the middle tier. And I thought Tulane hosting Army kind of in a revenge spot would cover the spread. I thought Tulane could win by at least a couple of scores, if not a few touchdowns. And Army just dominated the time of possession. Even though Tulane didn't give up a ton of explosive plays, Army was struggling to ultimately find the end zone and finish their drives. It felt like Army was in control of that game. So I was on the wrong side there. So that was surprising.
I'm sorry. Did Tulane end up losing that game outright? I can't remember.
Tulane ended up winning, and they ended up winning by a full touchdown, 24-17. So by score, I kind of came close to covering, but by the flow of the game, I did not. It was 17-10 Army with a couple of minutes to go, and Tulane had a 4th and 8. They ended up scoring a touchdown on the play, but had they not converted there, Army probably wins 17-10. So I was on the wrong side there. and that the game flow was pretty surprising to me. And then the game that was like, okay, I mean, it's not completely shocking, but like if I had to bet it again, I wouldn't change the pick.
Yeah.
Utah money line against BYU. I still think Utah's a better team, but it's a rivalry, and maybe I just stay away from rivalry games more so moving forward. But give BYU credit. Kalani Sitake, John, they are one of the bigger overachievers in the country, and he proves the doubters wrong almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good game from and again, I think it was tough because it was a tough I know that you liked BY or Utah rather earlier in the season, and the thing with BY or no, you who did you have a bet on in that game? I'm forgetting now. You
For
had
Utah,
Utah, right?
BYU,
You had Utah and BYU. They won fairly easily, correct?
um, it was a close game.
It was
Utah
okay.
Utah had a 14-10 lead early in the fourth quarter, and then BYU scores back-to-back touchdowns. So they went up by 10 late in the game. Utah
Uh-huh.
had late score. It's not. I'm not going to call it garbage time completely, but they had a late score to make it a one-score game. But it was pretty competitive throughout the game.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
You, you,
No, it's because for some reason I must be thinking of a different game, and I was thinking that yeah, my bad. I was just thinking of a different game. So my bad. So that puts me at 15, 11, and 4 on the season for our best bets. We'll get into those throughout the show and then at the very end. But let's go ahead and jump into this week's game. And let's start with Friday night's game. And we'll send it again on another Friday night. And you're not in your neck of the woods, but you're Mean Green are playing the Charlotte 49ers. It looks like North Texas is laying 25 and a half points. What do you think about this game?
with these kind of spreads, like who knows what might happen in garbage time. Remember, South Florida was favored by 27.5 against Charlotte a few weeks ago,
Yep.
and they ended up having a backdoor cover. Now, here's the thing: USF could have won that game by more. Like they literally could have named the score, but they took their foot off the gas. They got a
Yeah.
little complacent. They got a little complacent because if you're as good as a team as South Florida is, or North Texas, you don't necessarily have to keep your foot on the gas to beat Charlotte, as bad as
Yeah.
Charlotte is. So it's one of those name their score kind of games for North Texas here. So with this large of a spread, like it doesn't really matter what you do unless North Texas actually like plays their A game from start to finish. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to be sweating something out. You're going to be sweating something like this out. So I don't really have any strong leans here.
Yeah. Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but didn't South Florida cover on the last play of the game when they played Charlotte? Isn't that correct?
It was pretty much the last play of the game. So they had their backup quarterback in, and they ended
Mm-hmm.
up driving down the field, scoring a touchdown. I think they converted a fourth and short too
Okay.
on that drive, maybe even two fourth
Yeah.
and shorts. But they ended up covering with less than a minute left.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. But the total in that game was, gosh, I want to say it was like 60, probably in the same area, 61, 63. And I think no, the total was around 55 and they soared over the total in that game. The total in this one 61, and just a quick reminder, that was a South Florida home game, was it not? Yeah.
Correct.
And so Charlotte would be at home. So the other thing I think you forgot to mention was that this not necessarily could be a look ahead spot, but North Texas does play Navy next week, and the Mean Green as well as Navy are still trying to fight for that American Championship title berth as well.
Speaking of Navy and that look ahead spot potentially to the game in Denton next week, I do have a play on Navy this week. It is one of my best bets, but I do not have anything for the North Texas Charlotte game.
Same here. Nothing for me. If I was to play something, it would be the total. Just hoping that North Texas gets their plays in, gets off the field. Charlotte, plays tough. But again, I don't want to bet any money on Charlotte, and I'm not going to lay 6.5 points with North Texas, especially because their defense is susceptible to big plays, even though it is against Charlotte. Just something I don't want to get backdoored on potentially. So it would be the total over or nothing for me. And more than likely, I won't be betting on this game at all. 6:30 p.m. You got Cal Berkeley going to Virginia Tech to take on the Hokies. Hokies laying 6 points. I believe this spread has moved from 4 all the way to 6. Do you have any info on this one for us?
I do not. I've seen best bets on both sides here from other people, whether they are taking Cal plus the points or they are laying the points with Virginia Tech. I don't have a play for this game. I don't even know like the angle that you could take here other than the records for both teams. Obviously, it favors Cal. Virginia Tech only has a couple wins in the season, so you might be saying, why in the world is this Virginia Tech team laying 6.5 in any game?
Yeah.
And so from that angle, I can understand why someone would want to be on the side of Cal. But at the same time, it's like if a team like Virginia Tech is laying 6.5, what does Vegas know? And Cal has not exactly been good on the road. They really haven't even been good as of late. And so this is also like one of those games you go back to your priors in the preseason. It's like, okay, hardly anybody was bullish on Cal. If anything, people were fading Cal despite a pretty manageable schedule for Cal. And so maybe you use priors here and say, you know what, I'm just going to lay it with Virginia Tech. Maybe, again, Vegas knows something here with the spread. But I don't have a play here.
Yeah, we've talked about this, ever since these midweek, end of week games have started. We've kind of brought it up to where, this is kind of, you may have to lean on the dog sometimes. A home team's short favorite as a home team, but I mean, these steam chasers for these midweek games, and it. That Louisiana Tech went from 2.5 to laying 6, and they didn't even win the game outright. So now you have a Virginia Tech team who's lost 2 games in a row. Yes, they have a home game, a night game, Metallica, the whole home field advantage and whatnot. But should they really be laying 6 points against a Cal team with a pulse? I don't know. I know I wouldn't lay 6 points here. I'd go the other way, especially because this line keeps moving. So for me, I don't have anything just yet because of the way this line is moving, but I can see myself backing the Golden Bears here. I just don't think Virginia Tech, warrants being a 6-point favorite to anybody right now. All right, next game. This is the lone night game, late game, 9 p.m. Boise State laying 21.5 on the road against Nevada. Total of 51. Any info for us on this one?
No, I don't really have much on this game. Nevada, with the way that they play, they like to slow things down, try to play in a phone booth to the best of their ability with their limited talent. Boise State coming off the big win against UNLV, and I guess in hindsight, John, I should have stuck with my gut and just stay with Boise State in that game.
Yeah, what was the final? How many points did they win by there? I can't remember. I do remember looking at the score, but I wasn't, keeping track of it or the final.
Boise ended up beating UNLV 56-31.
Oh wow. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that have kind of bitten you in the rear end, so to speak, this year is loving a place so much you kind of like trick yourself out of it. You've had so many gut plays, but then you're kind of like scared off of them. But a lot of them have come through for you, like that one, like that game with Boise.
Yeah, that's happened to me the last couple of years, really. I mean, like I'll have, let's say, opinions on 10 games, and I will make plays on 5 or 6 of them, and I'll do okay in those. But then the ones that I don't end up making a play on were the ones that were the best. So it's like, really?
At
the very least, at the very least, I end up talking about it. So it's like my opinion's out there, but it just doesn't get posted anywhere.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. For me, Boise, let's see here. They're laying 3 touchdowns and the hook. Again, another team with a big dog Friday night. Again, crazy things have happened in this. Not so much a rivalry anymore as it was 10 years ago or so. But I actually did take Nevada 21 and a half. They've played Boise pretty tough the past couple of years. And Nevada's kind of, they were in the dumps. Now they're kind of trending up a little bit, just enough to where they may give Boise a game here. Broncos also have San Diego State on another elimination matchup for Mountain West Championship. Could be the Mountain West Championship, but we'll have to wait and see because I know San Diego State has Fresno State on the road, but we'll get to that later. So for me, I took 21 and a half with Nevada. I think they can make it a game.
Is this one of your best bets?
No, that's just something that I have.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have one, two, three, four, six five. I don't know. I have five, maybe six.
6, 7.
Maybe I have seven written down, but I think I may just keep five. We'll see. If you go with seven, then I'll do seven. Um,
I will
all
have
right, let's
7
get
this
into
week.
the Saturday games here. First one is a Syracuse Orange on the road, taking on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Yellow Jackets red hot, and I believe first place in the ACC, still undefeated. And Georgia Tech's laying 17 points here. What do you think about this one?
So when this total first opened, um, I had a strong lean under 55 and a half. It's now 52 and a half to 53
Oh,
and a half,
yeah.
depending on where you look. I still lean under there. I don't think I'm going to include it as one of my best bets. Um, I've only had one total overall point total
Mm-hmm.
as a best bet this year. I'm just not crazy about those, but I do lean under here. Syracuse offense is struggling right now. This is one of those games for Georgia Tech when they are laying a large number. Sometimes they cover, oftentimes they don't. The way that Georgia Tech plays under Brent Key, they just
Mm-hmm.
play to win. They
Yeah.
don't really play for style points. They're great as an underdog because of the way they play, but they're not great, especially as a large favorite.
Yeah.
So even though Syracuse has been on like my fade train this entire year, I I don't necessarily want to fade Syracuse in this spot because of what Georgia Tech is and because of how they play in these kind of
Mm-hmm.
games.
Yeah.
But I lean under because Syracuse offense is struggling right now. Georgia Tech, with their offense, they're going to run the football a lot. Syracuse struggles to stop the run. So I would imagine we're going to have a lot of running clock here. Not a lot of style points in a matchup like this, obviously. So I lean under, but I don't really have any great bets here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And we say it, I feel like every other week, this Georgia Tech team does not care about winning by 20, 30, 40 points. All they care about is a win and move on to next week. Especially with their position now in the ACC, everyone else dropping like flies, and there they are, just staying above water, staying at the top of the ACC standings. And they do have a manageable schedule. So 17 points, not something I would lay with Georgia Tech, even though I don't like Syracuse. I agree with what you said. The Yellow Jackets are more than happy to win this game by a field goal and running the ball 40, 50 times and just getting out of there healthy.
I could see a 31-17 final score.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like, do you really want to lay 17 points with Georgia Tech? It's like, no.
There
Unless
there
you're
are
like a Georgia Tech fan or alum, anything like that, I get it. But just like the average Joe laying 17 with Georgia Tech, why would you do that? I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
there are some 16 and a halves out there right now.
Hmm.
Not even that much juice, like minus 115.
Okay.
But yeah, my only lean for that game would be under.
Okay. All right. Next game, 11 a.m. One of the hottest teams in the country, the UCLA Bruins, at another, maybe the second hottest team, maybe the first hottest team in the country, and that's the Indiana Hoosiers, Hoosiers laying 25 at home to the Bruins. What do you think about this one?
I don't really know what to do with this game. So you can argue UCLA playing, like you just said, John, some of the best football in the country right now. They are riding very high on confidence.
Yeah.
Maybe they cover the spread here. Or maybe UCLA is still not all that great. Some of the improved play has to do with their opponents.
Mm-hmm.
And you put UCLA in a spot like this where now you're going to probably get Indiana's A game and Kurt Signetti's A game.
Yeah.
I could also see Indiana covering here because of that. So I don't really know what to do with this one.
Yeah, I agree completely. The only thing that my only argument for UCLA would be, let's say you've been riding UCLA right against Penn State against who's the second team that they beat after Penn State, Michigan State. So Penn State, Michigan State, Maryland. So say you've been riding UCLA those 3 games, and now they play Indiana. I get it to take the 25 points and say, hey, let's see what happens. But I wouldn't be able to, because this would be a game. If they were going to get blown out, it would probably be this game. But maybe they play tough. Indiana didn't necessarily struggle with Michigan State, but I believe that game that was like a 24 point game, and that spread was around 27 points, I believe. So it's right in that area. So I don't, again, it's kind of like the Georgia Tech game. Do you really want to lay the 25 points? No, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
really want to, or there's no point really, unless you're a fan or anything like that. But I don't see a real like edge on either side here. I would have to take the points if anything, but nothing for me. All right. Let's see here. Next game, Virginia laying 10.5 at the mighty North Carolina Tar Heels. Any info on this game?
Virginia has been winning with some pretty low post-game win expectancy over the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina's defense is improving a little bit. They're playing okay on that side of the football. Their offense still stinks.
Yeah.
Taking a road team, I know Virginia's played well this year, and we've been on the Virginia train as well this year. Yeah, I'm not suggesting to sell high on Virginia right now. What I'm suggesting is I don't think there's as much value now with the Cavaliers as there was a couple or a few weeks ago, and they haven't looked all that great as of late, and I don't really necessarily trust them 10.5 here. I know, people are like, dude, it's North Carolina. Don't overthink it. Maybe that's true. But I don't like the way Virginia is playing. And if I'm going to be laying double digits for a road team, I'm taking the road team because of what they are, not because of what their opponent is not. So again, if you want to fade North Carolina, I get it. But you also have to like something about Virginia. And I'm kind of waiting now, John, for Virginia that's been playing with their food recently a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this a best bet.
Yeah. Did they struggle a little bit with Washington State?
Yeah. They struggled big time. Washington State should have won that game.
Okay, that's what I thought. And what were they, like 7? I think they're 17, at least 17-point favorites. 17.
Yeah, they were around that 16.5, 17.5, around 17. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next game. Let me let this log out. Give me 1 second. All right, my bad. Okay, so next game is Rutgers at Purdue. Rutgers laying 1 point on the road. Any info? Any info on this one?
Man, this game is gross. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm not going to make this a best bet, but for those that just want to bet on every game, If you're going to bet on Rutgers right now, just bet overs. I mean, they've pretty much cashed in on the over on every single one of their games. That would be a lean here, I guess, but I don't think Purdue's starting quarterback, Brown, is going to play in this game. So that's also something to
Okay.
monitor there. And Purdue's offense obviously did not look good last week against Northwestern. Look, Northwestern, I know they play good defense. They normally do, that they're a well-coached team, but it's not like they're a juggernaut. And so, like, if you're Purdue, you're getting shut out in a game like that. Like, that's not a good look. So,
Yeah.
I'm certainly not going to have any best bets for this game.
Yeah, same here. If Purdue's quarterback's out, I would take Rutgers. Like if you need some action on this game, because the Rutgers actually scores points. So in a
Yeah,
game like this, two ugly teams, pick the one that has a quarterback or an offense that can score some points. And there's going to be turnovers, probably multiple turnovers. So that would be my recommendation. Take the team that could score some points, and that would be Rutgers here with the small, small favorite minus 115 on the money line. Am I going to have a bet on this game? It's doubtful. But if you really want to fade this Purdue offense, especially with the backup quarterback, Rutgers is the way to go. All right, next game, SMU laying 3 points on the road at Wake Forest. Mustangs coming off a win at Clemson. This line has moved, I believe it was around 4.5, now all the way down to 3. Any info for us on this game?
absolutely. And I've got a best bet here. I
Oh,
tweeted
all
this
right,
out a
let's
couple
hear
of
it.
days ago.
Yeah.
I tweeted this out 2 days ago. Give me the Demon Deacons. Give me Wake Forest plus 3.5. So I don't think there are any 3.5s out there right now. There's a lot of 2.5s and 3s. If you like SMU, you can find a minus 2.5 out there. I think, and also sprinkle some on the money line for me, John, for Wake Forest. I think the Demon Deacons can win this game outright. This is the ultimate sandwich spot for SMU. So they're coming off of the win against Clemson. Now, here's what's kind of funny, John. Was that SMU victory in Death Valley, or at least one of the two Death Valleys, was it talked about that much? No. That really goes to show you the state of Clemson's program right now.
Exactly.
But that was with Clemson's backup quarterback. And yeah, give SMU their flowers. That's still a quality win and a huge win for the program. And so, big win. You wonder how they are going to react emotionally from that. Meanwhile, on deck, SMU has Miami next week. They got Miami coming to town. They're hosting the Hurricanes next
right?
week.
That's a game in Dallas.
Yes. Yeah, they're hosting the Hurricanes next week. Back-to-back road games, Wake Forest coming off of a bye. Wake Forest is actually a good team. They're not getting talked about right now. They are actually a quality team. I think they might be just as good as SMU. So, like, this isn't just, oh, he's just playing the spot here. It's that in addition to Wake Forest should have beat Georgia Tech. They've been really good against the number so far this year. And guess who hasn't been good against the spread? SMU. SMU is 2-5 against the spread. Their 2 wins ATS last week against Clemson's backup quarterback. And then Stanford, because of some weird fluky plays in that game, Stanford should have covered there. So, and then Wake Forest, 4-2 against the spread. By the way, Wake Forest is going to make a bowl game. Folks, pull up the Demon Deacons schedule. It's the ACC, so it's not too difficult. They are 2 wins away from bowl eligibility. Wake Forest honestly might finish with 7 or 8 wins this year. And I think they are alive to win this game. So give me Wake Forest plus 3.5 and sprinkle some on the money line here for the Demon Deacons. I made this a best bet 2 days ago. I tweeted it out. Again, it's 2.5 to 3, depending on where you look. But I love Wake Forest plus 3.5. Lock it up.
All right, nice. Yeah, and then again, just follow on Twitter because if you tweet it out, I usually just retweet it. Same thing at CFE Grind, at DDSN_US. We tweet them out. Any numbers that we like early in the week, we get them out there. Or on our show, on early show, we didn't do one on Monday due to the AWS takedown, whatever. Lost my spot here. Where are we? Okay, so all right, sounds good. Wake Forest, and you like them on the money line, so still, even though that the spread is +3, you can still take the points there. It doesn't have the hook, but still +3. We think, well, to win outright. So, next game, an 11 a.m. kick in Norman, Ole Miss traveling to take on the Sooners. Sooners laying 5.5. You have any info for us on this game?
I lean Ole Miss team total under 24.5.
Oh,
I also kind of lean OU -5.5, but I prefer my Wake Forest +3.5 play than this. Both these games are in the
yeah.
11 o'clock time slot. I'm not crazy on having two games
Hmm.
in the same time slot, especially if one of them is not as confident as the other play. I'm just trying to make my best bets for y'all here, obviously. So I have leans here. I am still a little bit curious to see how Oklahoma's defense performs against an offense with a pulse. They haven't
Yeah,
really played that good of offenses yet. Look, I
correct.
am not suggesting OU's defense is not that good. No, but what I'm saying is OU's defense has been elite. I want to see if it's as good as what the numbers have shown, because
Hmm.
this is by far the best offense up to this point that they would face so far this year. So I still lean Ole Miss team total under, because Chambliss, the starting quarterback for Ole Miss, who's
Hmm.
played wonderful this year, he also hasn't seen a defense as good as OU's. So you can kind of see I'm kind of middling here
Yeah.
with these two things. I do lean, though, the Ole Miss team total under, because we're talking 24.5 above a key number there.
Hmm.
But another reason why I don't want to make this a best bet with either taking the team total under or the Ole Miss or Oklahoma -5.5 is because I don't trust the OU offense right now laying this kind of a number in the game that could come down to the very last possession. So I think OU is the right side in a game in a spot like this for Ole Miss, coming off the big loss to Georgia, back-to-back road games. And when you look at Ole Miss's upcoming schedule, it's pretty manageable. And to me, Ole Miss looks like a 10-2 team, not an 11-1 team.
Yeah.
Maybe here's the way that I would play OU. I would do a money line parlay with them. That's the way I would do it, because I think
Hmm.
OU is the right side here, but I just don't want to lay it with the Sooners. So
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. Do I like Oklahoma here? Yeah, I do. I like the defense. They're definitely a lot better than Georgia's defense. Georgia's defense is only good in name, going on past reputation. They've been terrible this season, and I just can't trust John Mateer. Mateer had a bad game last week, even though they dominated South Carolina. He still didn't look that good. A quarterback with an injured thumb, it's going to take some time to heal up. And Ole Miss does have the offense to where they can kind of keep this close, maybe 6 points, 3 points, 7 points. So that's a little too close for me. I need to see more from Mateer and this Oklahoma offense, like you mentioned. Sooners beat up on South Carolina. South Carolina's, they've been bad on both sides of the ball all season. So we really don't know what to expect from Oklahoma or Ole Miss because again, Ole Miss, another road game. They played Georgia on the road. They looked amazing offensively, but in the second half, I don't believe they scored very. I don't think they scored very many points in the second half, if any. Did they? Do you know?
Ole Miss,
Yeah, let me look that up real quick.
they did not score in the fourth quarter. I think they scored 14 in the third.
Okay, yeah, 14 in the third and none in the fourth. Okay, that must be what I'm thinking of. So, okay, yeah. But nothing for me. I was flirting with Oklahoma as a best bet, but remembering kind of Mateer's game against South Carolina, I kind of want to wait. Um, so we'll see how this one plays out. There's some other games that I like and I'm more confident in. So yeah, it's a pass for me as well. All right, next game at 11 a.m. I don't know if you have any info on this one or not, but let's go ahead and go over it since we went over some other ugly games, and that's the Northwestern Wildcats traveling to take on Nebraska Cornhuskers. Cornhuskers coming off a loss last Friday against Minnesota. They're laying 7 points at home, laying $1.20 here. So this may go to 7.5 by kickoff. We'll have to see. You have anything for us on this game?
No, not really. I've seen a lot of best bets with Northwestern
Mm-hmm.
+7, maybe +7.5 if you got on it early. I can see the logic there. I don't think Nebraska's line of scrimmage is very good. And not that Northwestern has elite line of scrimmage play, but I think it's better than Nebraska. So
Mm-hmm.
I could see Northwestern slowing this game down and covering a full touchdown here.
Yeah.
I understand that logic. I do. But you can also make the argument based on how Northwestern has played recently that this could be a decent sell high when it, not that you get many chances of that, but
Yeah.
not that it's, sell high in terms of like really high stock, but as high stock as you can get for Northwestern, this could be a decent sell high chance on the Wildcats and maybe a slight buy low in Nebraska. So I can see either side here. Um, if you're looking at position group versus position group, I can see Northwestern mucking things up.
Yeah.
If you're looking at a buy low chance for Nebraska, this is probably going to be your last buy low chance. Because if they do end up, laying it on Northwestern here, you're not going to get a buy low on Nebraska again this year. So I don't really, I don't have anything for this game. Do you?
Yeah, same here. I could see Nebraska bouncing back after that Minnesota game and, winning by 10, 14 plus points. The offense still isn't bad for Nebraska. It's their defense that's an issue. Offensive line got exposed against Minnesota, so maybe there's something there for Northwestern. But it's one of those games where there's other games to watch, other better better handicaps that I have. I just Nebraska, no thank you. I just no, I don't want anything to do with them or Northwestern. um let's see here. All right, next game we have. Okay, now we're getting some good games. 11 o'clock here still. Kansas State at Kansas. Jayhawks laying 3 and laying $1.25 here. So we may see a 3.5. I doubt that it lasts very long. You have any info for us on this one?
I don't. I don't. The only thing that I know about this matchup is that KU has not won in more than a decade. I think it might be 15 years or so. Last time they
Yeah.
won. I'll pull that up here,
Yeah,
but
I know that they've at least lost 10 in a row.
I don't have anything on this game. I can understand the thought process of until KU wins, just take Kansas State
Yeah.
plus money. I can understand that thought process. So I've seen some include K State as a best bet, but it's like there's got to be a time here shortly that KU finally wins because KU's program is much better than what it was just a few years ago, and
Right.
this game has
Yeah.
been much more competitive here recently. And it's not like K State has been great this year. It was just a few weeks ago that everyone was fading Kansas State. So I don't have anything on this game.
Yeah, no, I agree. But this is my first best bet of the weekend, and
Okay.
that's the Kansas State Wildcats getting 3 points here. Yes, Kansas hasn't won in a long time. They haven't been great, but I mean, if you think about it, Kansas has been they other than last year. I mean, other than last year, they've had some pretty good teams, but so has Kansas State, especially with some pretty top end NFL talent. I've talked about this earlier in the year because I was high on Kansas so often or this season. But their defense, I don't want to be laying any points with Kansas, even though they're at home. If they're an underdog, they're on the road, or they're getting points. This offense will be able to keep pace enough, depending on the other team. But they have a terrible defense. Kansas State has an offense with a pulse, improving. They did beat TCU on the road a couple weeks ago, coming off of a bye week. I believe Kansas is also coming off of a bye week, but they're coming off of a thrashing from Texas Tech. K State with a little momentum off of a win against TCU. I just think that Kansas shouldn't be laying a field goal here. Rivalry game. Kansas State has a pulse. I think Kansas State can not only win but keep this game close. Again, field goal game. So if we get overtime, at least we have a field goal in our pocket. But I could see this being a shootout. Both defenses are they're not great. Kansas State has potential on defense, but it's been, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Kansas's defense has been bad every single week, and that's why I want to faith the Jayhawks. And I'm taking the Wildcats, EMA +3. You could even throw some on the money line. It's +149, so you're almost getting $1.50 there. So that's a pretty good price. But yes, I will be on the Kansas State Wildcats.
John, I can find you a 3.5.
Oh, really? Where's that
FanDuel.
available?
FanDuel.
Wow. Is it juiced? It's got to be juiced, right? Probably.
-114. Yeah.
It's not terrible. I mean, that's actually that's a decent. You're paying 4 cents for a hook there. That's actually not terrible. So I don't mind that at all. And then I think on Bet Online, I don't know if yeah they'll let you buy the hook for minus for only technically it's 8 cents, but it would be -113 plus 3.5 at -113. That's actually a pretty decent number. But yeah, you could like I said, I think Kansas State can win. So +3 at getting plus money and +105. I don't mind that one bid. So I'm locking that one in. Kansas State +3. I like it.
All right.
All right, next game, 11 a.m. South Florida laying 6 points on the road in the Liberty Bowl against the Memphis Tigers. You got any info for us on this game?
I lean South Florida here, but I would prefer just to stay off of it because Memphis is almost like another Toledo. Very talented in respect to the competition that they face, and pretty talented from a national standpoint. I would say like Memphis last year was the most talented G5 team. Yes, I know Boise ended up making the playoff. They had a couple of stud players, but I think Memphis had the most talent last year in the G5. But similar to Toledo, Memphis and Toledo are teams that you'd want to take as underdogs in pretty big spots or meaningful games. It's not exactly teams that you want to back. Yeah. Well, here's Memphis in an underdog role. Now, what's the quarterback situation? I don't know. So if Memphis had its starting quarterback, I'd probably want to back Memphis if I knew that they had the starting quarterback, because they still might. I don't know. And if they do have Lewis, he's probably not going to be fully healthy. So if I can't back Memphis, I certainly don't want to fade Memphis in a spot like this over, most times. But because of the quarterback situation, I lean South Florida. So I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place here. If you told me, hey, Memphis is going to struggle at quarterback in this game, and they're not going to have Lewis, or Lewis is going to look like he's 60% healthy, then give me USF all day. But I don't really have any best bets here. Do you?
And so did Memphis, did they end up beating UAB?
They lost.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah, I mean, because they were a huge favorite. They were a huge favorite on the road. It looked a little ugly, like it was a perfect setup. UAB fires Trent Dilfer. They finally win a game, so it looks like they made the right decision. And I believe Chris Mortensen's son was the interim head coach.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And so now let us know what happened to the Memphis quarterback. What's that situation?
I don't know what his injury was. Um, let's see. I don't know again what the injury is specifically, but I know he's
Mhm.
banged up right now. I'm looking it up right now.
Because I am not too sure.
Yeah, they are currently unsure of who's going to line up at quarterback against USF.
And what's the
A
starting?
lower body injury.
Okay, and
He's
what's the starting
considered
quarterback's name?
Brendan Lewis. He's the former Colorado and Nevada quarterback.
Okay, and who's the backup? Isn't it a freshman?
I will pull it up here. I think you might be right. Yeah, I think he's a former 4-star.
Is he the one that started against Arkansas? Because I thought that was a freshman that started that game. I guess I could be wrong. Because I don't really remember the name. I know he was like number 0 or 1 or something like that.
AJ Hill.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's a freshman.
Let me look up
I'm only seeing
the.
stats for him against UAB. He was 13 of 25 for 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 175 yards overall in the day. But
Okay, yeah, Lewis. Okay, no, Lewis is the one I'm thinking about. He was number 2. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
AJ is he's considered the future for Memphis.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I was thinking about Memphis, but South Florida has proven that they could win on the road. They won a night game in Denton. Not to open that wound back up, but yeah, I can't bet Memphis here, not knowing what the quarterback situation is. We'll probably know more come Saturday morning, because this is 11 a.m. kick. We should know more around 9, 10 a.m. Um, and the line will probably move. Right now, I'm assuming the line is telling us that Lewis is going to play, because if he wasn't going to play, I would imagine this being a much larger spread. So, nothing for me on this game. I thought about Memphis as a best bet, but with that information, they are coming off a loss. So, everything kind of just it's a perfect storm for the Tigers here. I'm gonna wait and see, mostly due to the quarterback situation. I'll wait to see some more info on that. So right now, passing that game. All right, next game, 11:45 a.m. Auburn Tigers taking on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Razorbacks laying 2.5 points. Any info for us on this game?
Um, I do lean Arkansas. Um, Auburn is probably going to be playing musical chairs at quarterback in this game if one quarterback doesn't stand out over the other.
Mhm.
Of course, against Arkansas's defense, they might actually perform okay finally.
Yeah.
Will the Auburn offense potentially? We know Auburn's defense is really good, but Arkansas's offense is also really good. I think this is a very interesting matchup. Also, an interesting coaching matchup in this game as well. I certainly don't have any best bets here, but this is definitely a game that I'll want to tune into.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, this is my second best bet.
Okay.
I'm riding the Arkansas Razorbacks once again, laying the 2.5 points here. Again, total Auburn fade. Auburn can't score. They can't. I mean, they can play a little bit of defense. Arkansas, I believe, might be without their starting defensive tackle, one of their best players on defense. But it doesn't matter. They don't play defense anyways. They've got one of the best offenses in the country, the worst defense in the country. They're the Dallas Cowboys of college football. But I think Arkansas can score more points than Auburn. Auburn has struggled, and maybe they'll be able to get something together against this Arkansas defense. but the Razorbacks can't play any worse than they did against A&M defensively. If they could have made a maybe one or two stops, maybe they upset A&M in that game. But I think this is the perfect scenario for Bobby Petrino to finally get his win at home to try to secure his job as Arkansas head coach. I think he wants the job, and the opposite's going on with Auburn and Hugh Freeze. I think if he loses this game again, he'll probably get fired. If not now, maybe at the end of the season. But with this coaching carousel being absolutely haywire this coming off season, and it probably I'm sure it'll get started around November and Thanksgiving, because a lot of these high programs are going to want to start dipping in and getting their coaches as soon as possible because there's so many openings, they don't want to be left out. And I believe Auburn will be one of those. Do I like Hugh Freeze? I think he's a good coach. He's put together a pretty decent team, but an offensive coach that can't find a quarterback. I know people, I'm not going to say any names. I know some people, like Jackson Arnold. I just never understood it, never bought it. And they've got four other quarterbacks on that roster, and he refuses to play them. He's sticking with Arnold, and I don't get it. He's kind of begging in press conferences every week to get a vote of confidence. But I mean, I don't know what he expects from the AD. Auburn keeps losing, and Hugh Freeze wants a pat on the back to say that his job is safe. I'm just not seeing it here. You have Missouri come in, beat you, and Missouri, they're a pretty solid team, but they're nothing special in my opinion. But I think this is a Bobby Petrino game. This is Bobby Petrino's chance to cement his name as Arkansas head coach moving into the future. So I think they do it here. So give me Arkansas laying 2.5 points.
It's a little bit frustrating for the Auburn backers this year, like myself, because they are a quarterback away from being a great team because they
Yep.
have the offensive line, they have the receivers, they have the running back room, and they certainly have the defense, and they just don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, it's obvious to point out, but in this day and age in college football, you're gonna need a quarterback. Look at the best teams in the country. I would say besides Ohio State, because when you have 10 other NFL players, maybe you could hide a quarterback. But Sayan's been good; he's proven us wrong. But again, he's got nothing but talent there. Indiana, Mendoza, he's been great. We were big fans of him when he was at Cal, so this is not surprising. Who else? Alabama, Ty Simpson, my number one quarterback in the country right now. Who else is a good team? Miami, Carson Beck, he's coming off what, four interceptions against Louisville. Who are some of the other top teams in the country right now?
Damon Williams, Washington.
Damon Williams.
Washington's
Um,
not a top team, but I think Damon's a great quarterback.
I'm trying to think. I don't even know what the top. Ole Miss, quarterback. They again, Ole Miss. They found someone good enough, right? A Division III quarterback that could throw the ball, who's not afraid to throw the ball. But when you have Jackson Arnold, who he just sits in the pocket like a statue, like in the SEC where you have all these good quarterbacks, it's just not going to be enough to get the job done. So
Arch
I
Manning,
would
Texas.
Arch Manning, he's had one good half. We'll see how he does against Mississippi State. We'll get to that game later, but don't mean to ramble, so we'll move
Oh,
on.
real quick, John.
Go
I
ahead.
can find you a 1.5 for Arkansas. Would you prefer just to take Arkansas money line?
Well, where's the 1.5 at?
DraftKings. Yeah, DraftKings.
Arkansas's -1.5 at DraftKings.
Yeah. In fact,
Wow,
Auburn's even taking more money right now there.
that's shocking. That's shocking. Um, what's the money line there?
-112. Oh, wait. No, excuse me. -115.
Oh wow, that's actually pretty appetizing. I'm looking at Bet Online here, and it's -145, which I definitely agree with that price. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that DraftKings is minus 115. But yeah, either way, I mean, I like Arkansas. They'll take care of business um, on Saturday. Okay, next game, 2 p.m. game. You might have some info on this, so I'm kind of curious. So Utah State at New Mexico, Lobos laying 3 points, laying $1.18 with those 3 points. You have any info for us on this game?
I actually don't. No, I don't have anything for this one.
Okay. Yeah, I thought about New Mexico, but Utah State's played New Mexico pretty tough. Utah State's on the uptick, but this is a little too scary for me. I don't. It could go either way. I feel like the game probably does land three either direction, so I'm staying away. All right. 2:30. You may have something on this. So I'll go ahead and ask. North Carolina State at Pitt. Pitt lane 6.5. Any info here?
I'm not going to have any best bets for this game, but I could see picking NC State as a money line sprinkle play.
Okay.
I don't think Pittsburgh should be laying basically a full touchdown here. I think there's 6.5 at a lot of places right now. I don't think Pitt is that good right now.
Uh-huh.
I know they're at home here. NC State's head coach, Dave Dorn, he's undefeated against Pittsburgh since he's been at NC State. They've only faced twice, though.
Oh, I was about to say, it was like, wow, that's impressive. But okay, that makes sense.
Pittsburgh's been beating up on the bottom of the ACC the last few weeks. They've looked good to really good doing it, but
yeah,
maybe they're like a pretty good team, but I am not willing to trust Pittsburgh to that degree right now. So I can see someone taking NC State plus the points or as a moneyline sprinkle. I think NC State's live in this game. You would think that would be one of my best bets, NC State plus 6.5, but
yeah.
I certainly lean that way, but I've already given out a lot of other best bets that I feel a little bit better about. But John, knowing my history this year, the one or two games that I don't end up doing are probably going to end up going correct. So
that's basically how it's been working out for you, unfortunately. Let's see here. North Carolina State they're coming off a bye. Okay. They got Georgia Tech on deck, but yeah, they're coming off a bye. Yeah, I probably won't have anything here. Next game that I know you do have something on, we'll go ahead and jump here, skip these MAC games. 2:30, the Minnesota Golden Gophers coming off of a big home win against Nebraska, travel to take on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Hawkeyes laying 9 points. Let's see here, laying $1.15 juice to that 9. What info do you have for us on this game?
For those that are interested on the Iowa side, taking Iowa here, there are some 8.5s out there, including at DraftKings, and that's what I'll be doing here. That'll be one of my best bets. Give me Iowa, lay the points with the Hawkeyes. So I do have some info for you guys on this matchup. PJ Fleck, now in his 9th year in the Twin Cities. I cannot believe it's already his 9th year at Minnesota. Yeah. I remember back in 2019, hyping up Minnesota that year. I thought they were going to have a huge breakthrough season. Now, keep in mind, going into 2019, going into the fall of 2019, Minnesota had not had a great season, at least in college football. Vikings had been good, but the Golden Gophers had not had a great season since maybe they had a couple decent seasons in there, but they weren't really on the national level, elite to great since the 60s. It had been a long time since they had entered.
Tony Dungy was at quarterback.
Yeah, that's right. But I loved him that year. I've always been a PJ Fleck fan. I think he's a very good coach. I think he gets the most out of his talent. This year, I think it's a little bit of a rebuild year for Minnesota. I know they looked great against Nebraska last week. That's because I don't think Nebraska's line of scrimmage play is all that good. And the one thing that PJ Fleck teams normally do pretty well is play at the line of scrimmage. They always lean on their running game, although it hasn't been good this year, but Nebraska's run defense is just that bad. And Minnesota's defensive line is typically pretty good not quite as good this year. They do have one stud, but outside of
Mhm.
their best defensive lineman, Smith, they don't really have anyone else. I love Iowa in this matchup. Now, here's where it gets tricky on my behalf here with this best bet. I'm laying more than a touchdown with the Hawkeyes. Pause. You heard that correctly. I'm laying more than a touchdown for Iowa here. Here's something of note, though. So PJ Fleck going into his 9th year now at Minnesota. He's faced Kirk Ferentz's Iowa Hawkeyes 8 times. John, do you know what PJ Fleck's record is against the spread versus Iowa?
No, I know you mentioned it, and it's pretty good. So why don't you go ahead and tell us?
Well, it's a good record for Kirk Ferentz against PJ Fleck. It's not a good record for PJ Fleck against Kirk Ferentz.
Uh-huh.
PJ Fleck in his 8 matchups against Iowa, 1-7 against the spread.
Ooh.
And the only time Minnesota covered was 2 years ago when they took the punt return touchdown off of the board for Iowa because of the fair catch signal
I had
thing.
Iowa in that game. I remember that. I was pretty pissed.
So that's the only time that Minnesota has beat Iowa in the PJ Fleck era. It's also the only time that they have ever covered. Now, let's get back to the caveat here. I'm laying more than a touchdown for the Hawkeyes in this matchup. Typically, these spreads between these two teams are around a field goal. Maybe they're 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. I've never seen a spread this large between these two since PJ Fleck has been in the Twin Cities.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of telling when you look at the overall game total and it's sitting around 39.5.
Yep.
You know everyone and their grandmother is going to be on Minnesota plus the points in this kind of a matchup. And you know what? Maybe the public is right. Maybe it ends up being 24-17 or 21-14, 20-13. You guys can figure out these Iowa scores here. But I think Iowa is going to dominate the line of scrimmage in this game. I also think taking the Minnesota team total under 14.5 is a good play.
Oh,
But believe it or not, guys, I think the Iowa offense might actually cook in this game. So I don't want to sweat out the Minnesota team total just in case there's some garbage time and maybe the over cashes. And for those that have been taking the unders on Iowa matchups against Minnesota the last few years, you've either lost or you've barely won because there has been more overs than there have been unders the last few years. So I don't know where the overall game total is going to finish here. I could see 28-10, honestly, in favor of Iowa. I could also say 21-6. Give me the Hawkeyes minus 8.5.
Let me ask you, maybe you have an answer here. Out of all those games between Ferentz and Fleck, how many times has Iowa been favored by more than a touchdown? Do you know?
Never.
Never?
I don't think so. Well, hang on. Excuse me. Back in 2017, 2018, they may have been because Minnesota was still building at that time. So let me say this. Since 2019, I know for a fact Iowa has never laid more than a touchdown against Minnesota.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting because it is a big number. Minnesota coming off a huge win against Nebraska. It was at home. Now they travel to Kinnick. My rule is I'm not laying more than a field goal in any Iowa game ever. So I'll be rooting for you though. But yeah, it has to be a pass for me. Anything over a field goal with the Hawkeyes, I want nothing to do with it.
Totally understand.
Because of that game you just mentioned, the Iowa-Minnesota game. I believe that spread was 3.5, and yeah, I would. Unfortunately, didn't come through for me, but yeah, that happens. All right, Iowa 8.5, 9. Lock it in. Oh, okay. I know this is one that you tweeted out earlier in the week and talked about. The line has moved significantly, and this is another 2:30 game. UL Monroe at Southern Miss. Golden Eagles now laying 13.5 points. Go ahead and talk to us about this one.
As of right now, Southern Miss is one of the most profitable teams in college football. They are undefeated against the spread in Sunbelt play. As you just said, John, this was one of my best bets that I tweeted out way earlier this week. In fact, I may have tweeted it out Sunday, this past Sunday. I was laying -10. There were some 10.5s out there, some 11.5s. Anything under 2 touchdowns, I like in this game. But as you just said, John, it's now at 13.5 at most places. Shop around, obviously, for the best price. There might be some 12.5s out there. You might be having to lay a little bit more juice, though, obviously. But, guys, until they don't cover a spread, in fact, I'll put it this way, until they are the wrong side, I am not going to jump off the Southern Miss train here. I've been riding them every single week, and every single week that I have, I've cashed. Whether it's been taking a team total for them or the spread, give me Southern Miss. Of course, I already knew this was way earlier this week. Give me Southern Miss -10. That was my best bet. It's now 13.5. For those that are just now tuning in, though, anything under 2 touchdowns, lay it with the Golden Eagles. Until they prove to me that they are the wrong side, I'm still going to stay on that train, no matter what the spread is.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it. And it's a home game, so huge line move. But like you said, under 2 touchdowns, ride the Golden Eagles. All right, next game, 2:30. You may have something. Well, just some.
Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
Go ahead.
this is huge. DDSN Nation, we cashed our first preseason win total already this year. Southern Miss over 4.5 wins. We also had the long shot for the Golden Eagles to win the Sun Belt plus 2,900. We did that video way back in May.
Yeah.
DDSN Nation, though, I probably should have said this on the video that we posted back in May. And John, you knew this because I had told you this. I was planning on hedging Southern Miss if they were to get to the Sun Belt title, because I think this is JMU's year to win the Sun Belt. And if it is, in fact, JMU that they're going to end up, if Southern Miss, of course, wins the West, they play for the Sun Belt title, it's JMU that wins the East Division, the only conference right now in the FBS with divisions, I would hedge against James Madison. I think JMU is a juggernaut. I don't think Southern Miss is winning that game. And at the price that we got Southern Miss to win the title, that would be more than okay to hedge that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they have, they're definitely live. James Madison has been susceptible this year. So I writing it out 29-1. I like it. And like you said, we cashed it and we still have the championship winner ticket still alive.
Of course, they still have to win, a few more games here in the West Division. It's probably going to be between them and Troy, Southern Miss and Troy to win the West, if I had to guess. Let me pull up Southern Miss's schedule here. I want to say they host Troy. They do. Oh, my gosh, John. They host Troy on November 29th.
Wow, that should be the last week of the season, no?
It is the last week of the regular season. And the West Division and our long shot future might be in play there all the way to the end.
I look forward to that. Okay. Mountain West Conference, San Diego State laying 3 on the road at Fresno State. Fresno State taking some money here, laying $1.20 at +3. San Diego State has Boise State on deck next week. Potential look-ahead spot for the Aztecs. Any info for us on this game, Connor?
No, I don't have anything here. But I will say about San Diego State, though, overall, this is another team that we've been riding this year. San Diego State's one of the best teams against the spread in the entire country. Top 5 ATS margin so far in the entire country out of 136 FBS teams. So I would not go about fading San Diego State, but this is not an ideal spot here for the Aztecs because I want to say they have Boise State on deck.
They do.
So, yeah, no play for me here.
Yeah, same here. If I was to bet this game, I would probably take Fresno State just because of the spot, but it's not a night game. It's actually at 2:30, 12:30 local time. So
Oh,
interesting.
excuse me. San Diego State does not play Boise until November 15th. I don't know why I thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I swore I
Um,
would. I swear I saw they played them on the first. I guess not.
but oh, by the way, Nevada now 20 plus 21, no longer 21 in the hook.
Oh, that's why we got it out early. Okay. All right. Let's jump ahead. Because I don't have anything on the Temple Tulsa game. This game was Temple -6, now down to -5. Temple taking money. Tulsa at home. Tulsa's always a live dog, but Temple's pretty hot right now.
Temple is playing pretty well right now. Oh, by the way, there is a plus 21.5 at FanDuel for Nevada, but it's getting juiced like crazy right as we speak.
Oh wow.
Minus 120 right now on that.
For laying or getting plus 21.
Yeah, there's a 21.5 at FanDuel, but you're laying minus 120.
Okay. All
Um,
right. Next, go ahead.
what is Temple? Minus 5.5, minus 6.5?
-5. Temple's minus. I'm seeing -5, -115.
Tulsa's actually been better than I thought they'd be, as well
Yeah.
as Temple. Temple's been much better than I
Yeah.
thought they'd
Definitely
be.
Temple.
And we love Casey Keeler, but we still did not think Temple would be at this level
No,
in
not this quickly. No.
Keeler's first year, right? No play for me here. This is not a spot that I want to lay 5.5 with a road team. Yeah, it's not enticing for me enough. Like if you want to trust and back Temple here, I get it. But I think Tulsa's been playing a little bit better here these last couple of weeks. So no play for me here.
Yeah, I mean Tulsa was plus 17, I believe, on the road at East Carolina last week. And now Temple's -5 on the road. I don't know. If I had to pick one, I would take the home team, but I mean, this isn't a game that I'm going to bet on. Maybe if it was during the week, but for a Saturday game, nah, I have nothing there because Temple's great, but I could also see Tulsa playing closer or even winning the game. All right, next game, 2:30 game, Mizzou. Okay, yep. Missouri Tigers at Vanderbilt. Commodores laying 2.5 at home. Any info for us on this game?
No, I don't have anything here. Do you?
I do. I got a best bet, and that's riding this Vanderbilt team. I'm gonna
All
ride
right.
Vandy at home, and reason being the defense I feel like didn't play very well hosting LSU. LSU was able to move the ball, but Vanderbilt still made plays when they needed to defensively. Offensively, of course, they made they made great plays. Pavia made things happen. This is another team that's pretty red hot right now and a legit playoff contender, as well as Missouri. To be honest with you, but Missouri, they're in a did the Mizzou Auburn game go to overtime?
It did.
It did. Okay, so uh, you have Eli Drinkowitz jumping on top of not the stands. I don't know what that was. He was on top of some little brick wall cheering like they just won the Super Bowl. But I mean, Auburn's one of the worst teams in the SEC, in my opinion. And I just don't get it. I know Vanderbilt's a public play here, and I'm kind of fine with that. I just think like this Vandy team's they're kind of rolling offensively. Defensively, I do trust them to make some plays at home. I'm still not big on Prabula, the Missouri quarterback. This is a great Missouri rushing team. Vanderbilt actually did a pretty decent job stopping the LSU running game. It was a passing game that kind of they had trouble with, but they pulled away late. I think this will be another good game, but I'm just going to go ahead and ride this Vanderbilt team. Spread should at least be 3. That's what it should have been with the LSU game as well. But I like it. I like Vandy here. Again, it might be a little public play, but I don't think very highly of this Missouri team, especially when they're away from home. Struggling with Auburn. Auburn can't even score. So give me Vanderbilt laying 2.5 here. I got at Bet Online. It's Vandy minus 2.5, minus 117. Money line's at 140. I had the money line last week, but I think it was a better price. Just barely. But I'll go ahead and lay the 2.5 here, and I'll take the Commodores.
All right.
Write that down. Minus 2.5. All right. Did you have any info or anything like that on this game?
No, I both of these teams, I'd kind of want to. I would be more interested in fading these teams, down the stretch, especially as we get into November.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is, Vanderbilt's kind of a wagon right now. So, but if I have a matchup like this where I have two teams where I both like don't trust, and it's like I kind of want to fade both at some point, sell high with any chance that I get.
Yeah.
But they're going up against each other. It's like, okay, I stay away. And we have a game that we're going to be talking about here probably in a few minutes that's similar to that, where I definitely want to fade a certain team, but just not against the opponent that they're facing. So
Yeah.
that's the situation that I'm in for Vanderbilt against Missouri.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, I do agree. And the reason why I am still backing Vanderbilt is because they're at home. I'm not too sure their schedule. Let me just pull it up really quick. Maybe I could. All right. Okay. So Vanderbilt next week's got Texas. So if whether Texas wins or loses at Mississippi State, I could see Texas having a pretty strong game against Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt's schedule is manageable. They're at Texas, home against Auburn, home against Kentucky, at Tennessee. So they're kind of live for a playoff spot here. But yeah, give me Vanderbilt. We'll move on.
All right.
Next game is BYU at Iowa State. Iowa State Cyclones laying 2.5. You have any info for us on this game?
Well, I just said a few moments ago that we were going to have a matchup. Excuse me. We were going to have a matchup upcoming that was similar to Vanderbilt, Missouri, where I want to fade one team, but they're facing a team that I also kind of want to fade.
Uh-huh.
This is the matchup. So I don't have any best bets here, but I will say public will be all over BYU, and the Sharps are all over Iowa State. You have the unranked team here favored against the 11th ranked team right now in college football. To me, that says take Iowa State. And John, I don't think BYU is all that great, but you've heard me say this for about a month now. You agree with this.
Yep.
We both don't think Iowa State is all that great.
Correct.
About 90+% of the time, DDSN Nation, I would be including an Iowa State BYU matchup like this as a best bet, and I would be taking the unranked team that's favored as one of my best bets. Not in this matchup. Now, does that mean that I think BYU is winning? No, because if I did, I would include BYU as the best bet. I don't know who's winning this game. The matchups on the field right now favor BYU. But in terms of the stock in both teams, selling high, buying low, the spot and the timing with these teams' schedules that this game is taking place heavily favors Iowa State. But the matchups on the field favor the Cougars. Why? Because I don't think Iowa State's line of scrimmage play is where it needs to be right now to beat a really physical team like a BYU. But I think Iowa State has better skill position than BYU. Parker Kingston's a pretty good receiver for BYU. The running back Martin is really good as well. But I think elsewhere, Iowa State has better skill position. And at some point, you wonder if BYU kind of winning by the margins here finally catches up to them. This was what I questioned with BYU last year. That's the nature of the Big 12. A lot of these games are close. This game is probably going to come down to the wire. For me, John, this is not best bet material, but DDSN Nation knows that I want to fade BYU.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one, except the Cyclones are one of my best bets this week. I do like Iowa State here for basically all the reasons that you mentioned. BYU coming off of a huge home upset against Utah, rivalry game. Now they got to travel against Iowa State. Iowa State struggling, and this is the perfect recipe. Ranked team at an unranked team at home is a favorite. The public will be on BYU getting points. I like Iowa State here. I'll lay the points. I'm seeing the money line at -130. Money lines actually that's not a terrible price for Iowa State. Actually, yeah, what's that? 25 cents a quarter. Let me look here. 76. Yeah, I mean, I lost my spot. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, I'll lay the 2.5 points here. I'm happy with it. I like Iowa State. They're very capable, especially against a BYU team. I do not like this BYU quarterback. I've said it. I've said it 100 times. Iowa State, you know, they just they're okay. They're not good. They're not bad. They're just an average Big 12 team this season, which is understandable based off of all the talent they lost last year. So, but I think this is a good spot for Iowa State and to fade, sell high on BYU, buy low with the Cyclones, sell at the very top with BYU in this game, and that's what I'm doing.
I certainly lean that way, John. I agree with you in all those things that you just said. Very interested to see how Iowa State's run defense looks
Mm-hmm.
because that's my biggest concern here. I'm not sure if Iowa State's best defensive lineman, Dom Orange,
Uh-huh.
is going to be playing in this game. If he is, he's not fully healthy. I did a preview with the Cyclones. I interviewed one of their top beat writers back in the summer, and he was telling me how Dom Orange, their best defensive lineman, they are going to be asking a lot of him this year
Mm-hmm.
because the depth along their D line is kind of a weakness for them. So I'm interested to see how the Iowa State run defense performs in this game. They have not looked good the last couple of weeks, and with their top corners out for the year, and the way that the Iowa State defense normally plays, they play to protect, like the back end of their defense. They play that 3-3-5 scheme.
Yeah.
They don't typically load the box. So my guess is Iowa State and BYU comes down to last 4 or 5, 6 minutes of the game, comes down the last couple of possessions or so. And but John, I am definitely pulling for Iowa State because I want to see BYU lose.
Yeah, no, I know that.
So I'm rooting for your best bet here for sure.
And I think it'll happen. All right, next game, 2:30, Alabama Crimson Tide laying 12 points at South Carolina. Money coming in, money's on right now. Looks like on South Carolina plus 12, laying $1.21. You have any info for us on this game?
If South Carolina had a pulse offensively and if they had a better offensive line,
Mm-hmm.
I would take South Carolina plus the points. But then again, the spread probably wouldn't be as high as it is if SC was actually pretty good. The spot here is all South Carolina. Obviously, playing in South Carolina, never easy to get a win there. It's probably one of the more underrated atmospheres in college football, honestly.
Yeah.
Because LSU, the 12th Man, Happy Valley, the Swamp, playing in Tuscaloosa, like those places get talked about a whole lot more. Clemson, I guess, of course, not as
Yeah.
of late, but for a long time there, playing at Clemson is considered to be one of the tougher environments. But there's a lot of tough environments in college football. Provo, Utah is a pretty tough place to play. Salt Lake City is as well. But a place that doesn't get talked about enough is South Carolina. That's a really difficult environment. Alabama coming off back to back to back to back ranked wins or wins against ranked opponents. You wonder how much Bama has left in the tank here. If they're going to really bring their A effort here. I shouldn't say A effort. If they're going to bring their A game, right? Like, I'm not saying they're not going to bring their effort, but you just wonder if they're still going to have the same juice that they've had the last few weeks. And to be honest with you, Alabama, they don't need to bring the juice like they've brought the last few weeks to beat this caliber of team in South Carolina. So I don't have any best bets here because I can't back South Carolina. But in this spot, I also don't want to back Alabama. Do you have anything here?
Yeah, no, not for me. We kind of talked about it earlier. It's basically Shane Bieber either wins, keeps it close, or he'll probably get fired, in my opinion. If not this weekend at the end of the year. I mean, I watched this South Carolina team get destroyed by Oklahoma. Oklahoma didn't have a quarterback. Alabama has the best quarterback in the nation, in my opinion. Yeah, best NFL prospect, quarterback prospect, at least for this draft class. And I just don't know how South Carolina is going to score points to keep up with Alabama. I get it, not wanting to lay 12 points. I'm with you. And I took South Carolina last week plus 5.5. I thought they would have a strong game, home game against Oklahoma. Oklahoma was up 21-0, I believe, like in the first quarter, and that game was over. South Carolina had so many chances in the red zone, but they just can't. They can't complete anything. There's so many boneheaded penalties. Shane Bieber, Mr. Accountability, sarcasm sign. He doesn't take any accountability over anything, and he always blames the officials. He blames everyone else except for himself. So that's why I do not like him whatsoever as a head coach, and he should be fired. To be honest with you, no matter how this season ends, if South Carolina cares about their program, they will find a new head coach. Uh, but even make it Sean Elliott, the offensive line coach, and in that Oklahoma game, they just have the camera pan on Beamer and Sean Elliott the whole time, and they're just, I mean, they just don't know what to do. South Carolina's all over the place offensively. Am I going to lay it with Alabama? No. Would I surprise if they destroy South Carolina? No. Like you said, Bama could come up, kind of. What's the word I was looking for? Kind of lame in this game. But ever since getting beaten by Florida State, Alabama's strapped it up every single game, and they've come out firing. So I'm not expecting an Alabama a Crimson Tide team sleepwalking in this one. But with the spread, I'm not going to lay it, and I want nothing to do with South Carolina.
Yeah, I definitely cannot back South Carolina.
All right, next game, 2:30, Illinois at Washington. Washington leading 4. Do you have any info on this one?
Oh, I'll lean Washington in this matchup, in this spot, especially playing at Washington. Another difficult place to play. I didn't even mention it earlier. I mean, I'll lean Huskies here, but given the futures that I have with the Huskies, preseason futures, I just want to kick back and watch the game and hope that Washington wins outright. Like, if they cover, great. Obviously, I don't want to have to sweat this game out, but I'm not going to have any best bets here. I'm just going to hope for a Washington win, ride it out.
Okay. Yeah,
By the way,
here.
Preseason futures for Washington, over 7.5 wins. We got that at a plus value. And then the long shot for Washington to make the college football playoff. If Washington wins this game, they're favored. They're going to be favored in their next 3 games, playing against UCLA, Wisconsin, and Purdue. Yes, you heard that correctly. UCLA, Wisconsin, and Purdue. They can win. In fact, it's not in that order. I want to say it's Wisconsin, Purdue, UCLA. but they face those three opponents after Illinois, and then Washington in that awesome home atmosphere that they have at Husky Stadium. They host the Oregon Ducks. This is a huge game for long shot playoff odds for both Illinois and Washington, but in my opinion, especially Washington.
And they still only have the one loss to Ohio State, right?
They lost to Michigan last week, so they have two losses, so they're going to have to win out. But like I said, if they beat Illinois and they're favored, they'll be favored the next 3 games. I know people are probably tuning in. Games are not won on paper. I know that. But if you look at it from an odds perspective, which we are with our preseason future on Washington, got them at plus 950 to make the playoff. They have to beat Illinois. They have to win out. But if they beat Illinois, honestly, John, that's looking like it could happen. Obviously, they had to beat Oregon, too. I don't think Oregon's a juggernaut, though.
No, they proved that against Indiana. They're definitely beatable.
And they host Oregon. It's a pretty big rivalry there on the West Coast. I think maybe some of the nation's not aware, but Washington and Oregon do not like each other at all. And that rivalry has increased with emotion just over the last few years. That's a big game. That's going to be a rowdy crowd there at Washington, especially if Washington's able to win their next 4 games. So I certainly like over 7.5 wins, John, but I also like that long shot to make the playoff.
Yeah, and they're still live for it. A lot of work to do, but it's possible. Next game, I think you had something here, and it's Florida Atlantic Owls at Navy. Midshipman laying 2 touchdowns, minus 14 points. What do you have for us?
So I tweeted this out 2 days ago. This is one of my best bets for this week. Give me Florida Atlantic plus 15.5. Now, as you just said, John, the spread's now 14 and a half, maybe some other places. There's a lot of 14s, though, right now. I still think that's playable, to be honest with you. But I love Florida Atlantic plus 15.5. Navy has been playing with their food here recently, winning some one-score games. And we talked about it with North Texas against Charlotte with the large number. North Texas host Navy next week in Denton. This might be a look-ahead spot here for the midshipmen. Now, real quick, I'm sure some are going to say, it's the military. They never overlook any opponents. Well, if you don't think that, then I also am looking at it from a power rating standpoint. We'll see how the turnover margin goes, things of that nature. I don't think Navy, John, should be laying 15.5 here. I don't think they are that good of a team. I don't think FAU is any good or really good, but I could see FAU keeping this one close. Again, look at Navy scores here recently. They should have lost to Temple. Probably should have lost to Air Force, in all honesty. They've been winning some close games here recently. Give me FAU plus 15.5.
Okay, and it's at 14. So do you still like the Owls getting 2 touchdowns? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I lean FAU because I wouldn't trust Navy to win by margin, especially in a spot like this. And they haven't been winning by margin this year. So I would still lean FAU at plus 14. And you know what, guys? I would even sprinkle some on the money line.
Oh, wow. On the road?
Just a little bit. Have some fun with it. I think it's like plus 500, maybe.
Yeah, I'm seeing plus 446. So in that general area.
Okay, yeah, it's come down a little bit with the spread. So yeah, okay. So it's around 450. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Next game, you may have some info here. I know I don't. Baylor at Cincinnati. Cincinnati laying 3.5 points. You have anything here?
You know there's going to be a game that Cincinnati loses that they have no business losing. I shouldn't say that they have no business losing to Baylor, but like the moment is going to come where it's like, and that's why we don't trust Cincinnati, right?
And they almost blew that game against Iowa State as well. So
yeah,
that they dominated.
I think some of the officials were a little bit questionable in that Cincinnati game.
Yeah,
I did not agree with the officiating there. This game should be a lot of fun. A lot of points.
Yeah. Uh,
Whew.
Totals at 67 right now.
I kind of lean over there.
Yeah.
Nothing for me here. But
Yeah.
I love Cincinnati in that spot a few weeks ago against Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to be tailing Cincinnati though at all the rest of the year. We'll see.
Yeah, that was the perfect spot. Here, I saw it looked like a bunch of tickets were on Cincinnati -4, but the line moved in Baylor's favor to 3.5. So that's kind of telling you just take the dog. Am I going to be on this game? No. If I was, yeah, I'd be taking Baylor plus 3.5. All these games, especially Baylor games, have been coming down to a field goal. So you might as well just take the 3.5, see what happens. But yeah, it could be an ugly game. Big total officiating. I want nothing to do with it.
No kidding. Yeah.
All right. All right. 315. The UT Longhorns, Texas laying 7.5 at Mississippi State. Do you have
Ooh.
anything for us on this game?
7.5 now.
I'm seeing 7.5 on Bet Online.
So that's sharps coming in because the public is all over Mississippi State here.
Yeah, yeah, that was kind of my thoughts on this game.
No play for me here. There is probably going. Well, I shouldn't say probably, but there might be a time, and maybe it is this week where we look back and say that was a good buy low opportunity with the Longhorns. I don't have anything. I still have to see it from Texas. But I mean, John, would it shock us by the end of the season we look back and say, hey, you know what? Texas offense got off to a slow start, but they started figuring things out, and they're still an elite program, and they're going to be
Yeah,
here to stay. Like, would it shock us? I'm not saying that their offense is going to have a quick turnaround. They're going to go from questionable to elite,
yeah,
but I'm just saying that they go from questionable to good, or like, you see light at the end of the tunnel. Like, okay, like these guys are still for real overall. Defense is still one of the best in the country. Texas as a program is not fading away anytime soon. Like they are here to stay. I
yeah,
wouldn't be shocked if there comes that point this year where we start to look at them a little bit differently than how we are currently viewing Texas. But until I see it from the UT offense, I can't exactly back Texas here, especially laying 7 and a hook here.
uh-huh.
Let me see what the Mississippi State team total is.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. It kind of feels like everyone is backing Mississippi State and fading Texas once again. And my opinion is the time to fade Texas was kind of last week against Kentucky. I really don't see it happening again. Sark getting a lot of flack in the media, rightfully so. But I just feel like, fool me once, fool me twice. I just don't see it happening again. It just feels like Mississippi State plus 7.5 is just way too obvious, and Texas has a bounce back. It just sets up perfectly for Texas to have a good game. And Mississippi State, they're not trustworthy. The defense certainly isn't trustworthy. Um, but they've played teams tough at home though, and this if it was a night game, I'd be able to convince myself to back the Bulldogs here. But seeing as how it's a 3 o'clock game, not nothing too scary. I believe Mississippi State they beat Arizona State outright, another top team in the country. They lost by 7 in overtime to Tennessee. The spread was 7.5, close 7. And we have 7.5 here. If you really want to fade Texas, I get it. But it just feels like this is a game where Texas is gonna prove doubters wrong. And I don't want to be caught with my pants around my ankles with a Mississippi State ticket if that
Yeah.
happens.
Yep, I feel that. The Mississippi State team total is 19 and a half. I kind of lean under there.
Hmm.
Um, I did not know this until just now. Did you guys know that you could take a team's total yards over or under for a game?
I think they have those markets like on DraftKings. Is that where you found it or saw it at?
Maybe there is a DraftKings. I don't know. I'm looking at FanDuel right now and they have it.
Oh, okay.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I think I really don't look at FanDuel too often, but I know DraftKings usually has um yardage, markets like that where you could get some action on.
Yeah, and talk about having to sweat some stuff out. You might be sweating stuff like that for a good portion of the game, and then you're
Mhm.
having to lay like minus 114, minus 115 on that stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I went back to the Iowa Minnesota game. Minnesota's total yards here
Hmm.
278, juiced minus 114 both to the over and to the under, and then Iowa at 347 total yards.
Oh wow.
Um, they have some alternate lines here for total yards as well. Let's see.
And this is FanDuel.
This is FanDuel that I'm looking at.
Yep.
Yeah. Iowa total yards, alt line 400 plus 230. Let's go. That's
That yeah. Um yeah, I mean they're gonna have to cover the what is it, 8.5, 9 point spread. Let's see here. All right, next game. I know you probably don't have anything on this, but I just want to double check. TCU laying 16.5 at West Virginia. Any info for us on this one?
Oh, it's now 16 and a half.
That's what I'm seeing on Bet Online. Yeah.
Feels like the second that I take a team to cover a large number against West Virginia,
Hmm.
they won't.
Yeah.
But I mean, West Virginia's been terrible this season, in large part due to injuries. So
Yeah.
I'll cut them a little bit of slack there. Gosh, I don't have anything here. Do you?
Yeah. No, nothing for me. I can't. I took West Virginia a couple times early in the season. It paid off, but now it's just they're dealing with too much. It's a huge turnaround to begin with for Rich Rodriguez, and then the injuries don't help. Quarterback rotation doesn't help. They've got two freshman quarterbacks, so yeah, nothing for me in that game. Interesting spread, but I do not want anything to do with it. Next game, 6 o'clock. The Stanford Cardinal taking on the Miami Hurricanes. Hurricanes land 29 at home.
I've got nothing on this game.
Yeah, I mean, Stanford seems to just keep covering these huge numbers. It's usually been 17 points, but now it's at 29. I don't want to have a ticket on Stanford to find out if they could do it. I think three times in a row. So pass for me. Let's see here. Michigan at Michigan State. Wolverines laying 14 points. Michigan coming off a big win against Washington. Spartans got beat by Indiana last week. Rivalry game, 14 points. Night game. You have anything for us on this one?
No, I don't have a feel for this matchup. I think obviously it's a rivalry. So there's always the caveat where it's like, hey, it's a rivalry, anything can happen, but
Mhm.
Michigan can out talent Michigan State. I don't think Michigan State's really all that good this year.
Yeah.
Would not shock me to see Michigan cover There's also a 14.5 out there at FanDuel. Wouldn't shock me to see Michigan cover that, to be honest with you, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be on the Michigan State side there, 14 to hook. But we've also seen the Michigan offense and Bryce Underwood struggle on the road this year.
On the road, yep, exactly.
I don't have anything on this game because, like I said, I don't really have a strong feel for how the flow of the game is going to go. And Michigan State just feels like they're up and down. They're up and down. Of course, most of the ups are with the offense and most of the downs are with the defense. But sometimes the offense has their downs too. But there's no ups for the Michigan State defense, which concerns me in a matchup like this.
Yeah, I mean
But it's a rivalry.
Michigan State's come through for me as double-digit underdog. We faded them whenever they were favored, rightfully so, but they covered against Indiana. But I just don't. I don't like Aiden Childs. He's just too wild, too many interceptions, too many turnovers, and the defense isn't good. So if Michigan's going to have a good game, it'd probably be this one. Um, this is one. If you were going to take it, I would take Michigan State at home. Their offense could at least score. Michigan, I don't want to bet on it, but it wouldn't surprise me if Michigan State covers this game. Next game, I know you got something here, and that's Texas A&M laying 2.5 at LSU in Baton Rouge. What do you have for us?
I'm currently looking to see if there are any threes.
There was 1 3 at 3 in the morning, and that was about it.
I did tweet that out, so give me it. No, for the show here, we'll do. Give me LSU guys plus 2.5, and then of course sprinkle LSU on the money line.
Okay.
This is me going back to my priors, like full-heartedly. I'm using my priors here because I just don't think we are going to have an undefeated team in the SEC this year. In fact, wouldn't shock me if A&M ends up dropping 2 games over the last month of the season. I thought in the summer the SEC was going to be filled with a bunch of 5-3 and 6-2 teams at the top. Yeah, maybe one ekes out 7-1. I guess because of how Georgia's schedule looks here on out and how A&M's schedule looks here on out, we could have a couple. Oh, and then Alabama. I guess we could have a couple of 7-1s here, but this is if you want to sell A&M, this is probably the last sell high opportunity you're going to have with A&M. And this is probably, well, no, I shouldn't say probably. This may not be the last buy low shot with LSU because they're just not looking good right now.
Yeah.
So like if they don't do good in this game, there's probably going to be more buy low opportunities with LSU. John, do you know the last time A&M won in Baton Rouge?
Last time they won in Baton Rouge, maybe never.
Since A&M has been in the SEC, they've never won in Baton Rouge. Yeah, the last time A&M, though, won at Tiger Stadium was way back in 1994.
Oh, wow. I'm actually shocked that A&M had a team good enough in 94 to win on the road, to be honest.
LSU was kind of mid in the 90s.
It was pre-Saban.
Right. So here's another reason why I'm on LSU. So number one is the priors. Like I just don't see an SEC team going undefeated. And if you look at A&M's schedule moving forward, at Missouri, at Texas, certainly some difficult road games there. Host South Carolina, I believe they play Samford in the non-conference.
Okay.
I would figure they win those 2 games. The question is, what does A&M do down the stretch? Because we've seen A&M in last month of the season, almost every year, A&M starts well, and what happens? They don't finish.
They don't finish, yep.
It's a little bit of that, but it's more so just priors from this past summer, believing in the SEC being a gauntlet, specifically at the top, and no one finishing undefeated. And I don't exactly love Missouri, and Texas doesn't look all that good. I know LSU doesn't look all that good. So are you saying A&M is going to go 12-0? You know what? Maybe they do. But I don't want to get off of my gut feeling because we've seen how that goes this year when I don't trust my gut.
That's right.
So I'm going with my gut here. Give me LSU plus 2.5. Oh, LSU in its last 10 matchups against A&M, 8-2 against the spread.
And they probably didn't cover. I know they didn't cover in the 7 overtime game.
I don't remember what the spread was for that game. So here are the times that I know they didn't cover, or I know they didn't cover in 2022.
Okay.
They didn't cover last year either. Maybe that stat was wrong because there was a website that says LSU is 8-2 in its last 10 matches. Oh, excuse me. LSU is 8-2 in its last 10 matchups against A&M at Tiger Stadium.
Okay.
Yeah, misworded that. And they're 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 games at Tiger Stadium. Everything about this says to take LSU. Now, the public is going to be all over Texas A&M here. When you look at A&M's schedule in the SEC, who have they played and beaten that is in the running to be ranked?
They haven't in the SEC. No, but I mean no, because Arkansas definitely wasn't ranked. Auburn definitely not ranked. Who else have they played?
Mississippi State and Florida.
Mississippi State, yeah, Florida down. Mississippi State obviously down. So yeah, nobody.
LSU's schedule. It's been a lot more difficult in the SEC.
Yep.
I know they haven't looked great, and that's in large part due to that schedule. Give me LSU here. Give me LSU plus 2.5. Give me LSU on the money line. But my best bet will just be LSU plus 2.5. But if you want to sprinkle some on the money line, obviously, yeah, I'm all for that here. I have to see it to believe it in this kind of a spot for Texas A&M. By the eye test from the last couple of weeks, I'm sure those viewing would say, why aren't you siding with A&M? Because they've looked a lot better.
Yep.
Well, it's also because of the competition, why they looked a lot better. How good is A&M's defense? I know they've got a couple of decent pass rushers. LSU's offensive tackle.
Arkansas carved them up.
Right, and LSU's offensive tackle situation right now is not great. So maybe A&M can get some pressure on Garrett Nussmeier. A&M also hasn't faced – they've only faced one good defense all year. Notre Dame's defense is playing better now, but it wasn't when they faced the Aggies earlier this season. The best defense A&M's faced this year, by far, Auburn. And that was by far and away A&M's lowest point total this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, right now, I don't think LSU's defense is quite as good as Auburn's, but it's still pretty good. And A&M on the road against a team with both an offensive and a defensive pulse. They have more than a pulse defensively. They have barely a pulse offensively, but I don't think A&M's defense is all that great. Wouldn't it make sense, John, if you look back to this, let's say at the end of the regular season, A&M finishes 10-2. You look back and say, yeah, that was the time to kind of, buy low on LSU and sell high on A&M. Do you see any team going 12-0 in the SEC this year?
No, they shouldn't. I could see Alabama not dropping an SEC game, but let's see here.
Well, because all these teams already lost a game, whether it's non-conference or in conference.
Yeah.
I should say
lost. I meant SEC wise. I could see Alabama running the table. A&M still has some tough road games, and Baton Rouge is one of them.
Right. So the way I see it, A&M is dropping 2 of their 3 road games against LSU, Missouri, and Texas. And if I had to predict it right now, I'm going to say those losses are against LSU and Texas.
I agree.
So give me LSU here. This isn't me waiting, for the Aggies to have their Aggie moment. This is more so me saying this is the story of 2025. That's where I'm kind of leaning on here. Now,
a lot of parity, upsets, parity,
and you know what? So that's 80% of it here, right? But there's also that little 1 or 2% out there that's also saying A&M always finds a way to underachieve at some point, and it's typically late in the season.
Yeah.
I liked A&M before the season. I told you, John, I was high on basically every Texas team in respect to their expectations except for Sam Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't me saying, I'm fading A&M, specifically because I don't believe in A&M. This is just me saying this is the story of 2025 and especially the SEC.
I like it. It's got to happen sooner or later. I thought it was going to happen against Arkansas. They survived. Back-to-back
road games for A&M as well.
I know you got something on this next one, 6:30 game, Colorado State Rams at the Wyoming Cowboys up in Laramie. What do you got here?
Give me Colorado State plus 5.5. I tweeted this out a couple days ago. This
Yep.
is one of my best bets as well. Very, very interesting statistic here about this matchup. So Colorado State just fired their head coach. Do you know what teams' records are the week after they fired their head coach against the spread, John?
What are they? I'm curious. I know you told me, but go ahead.
6-1. 6-1.
And that's this season, correct?
Just this season. They are 6-1 against the spread. The only time that there wasn't a cover was when Virginia Tech was a 5-touchdown favorite hosting Wofford. And Virginia Tech still almost covered. So 6-1 ATS, Colorado State just fired their coach.
Yeah.
And guess what team in the Mountain West, maybe outside of Nevada, I'm not that high on? Wyoming. And I know it's in Laramie. Weird things happen in Laramie because I had that firsthand experience.
Yeah, unfortunately.
A few weeks ago with a terrible bad beat because had there not been a quarterback injury, I would have won that game, and I would not have even had to sweat it out.
I agree.
Wyoming, not that good of a team. I kind of question the play calling from the head coaching from the coaching staff of Wyoming. I think they're trying to go through some changes with their offensive play callers here. Again, I know it's in Laramie. Weird things happen there. Give me Colorado State plus 5.5. I think if you look around right now, it's 4.5 or 5. I still like Colorado State plus the points there. This is also just like, should Wyoming ever be favored by more than a field goal in Mountain West play?
Not this season.
Right. Colorado State, not that they're as talented as what they've been the last couple of years because they're not. I still think they might have more raw talent than Wyoming, though. Yeah. So give me Colorado State plus 5.5. That was one of my best bets. I think right now, again, it's plus 4.5 or plus 5. But I think Colorado State has a really good shot to win this game outright. So,
okay, I like it. All right, next game, 6:45 p.m. Tennessee Volunteers at the Kentucky Wildcats. You got anything for us on this game?
No. I don't have any best bets here. An interesting trend, though, the last 3 or 4 times that Tennessee has played in Lexington, the games are always like decided by one score.
Mm-hmm.
But do I want to back Kentucky? Not really. So
yeah,
nothing here for me. Do you have anything?
I do. I've got the Big Blue as my 5th and final best bet. Kentucky. Reason being, Tennessee favored by 9. Okay, coming off a tough loss, a letdown. I wouldn't say it wasn't a close game, but it's still kind of like they took an ass whooping against Alabama. No matter how you want to slice it or put it, they got beat up, which I'm not surprised. I had Alabama laying 9.5 points. Pick 6 did help, but that's football, right? Pick 6s helped Tennessee against Mississippi State. That's it. That's football. But I do like Kentucky here. Kentucky, we are buying low on the Wildcats. They just almost beat Texas last week. Game went to overtime. And with a game like that, Kentucky gets a little bit of momentum with their freshman quarterback. I believe they're still putting the freshman out there. Yeah, I like this plus 9. Do I think Kentucky's going to win? I believe they've only won one SEC home game in the last 3 years. I believe that's correct. And it was earlier in this year. Kentucky got their first SEC win, and maybe they get their second. There's a reason why they're plus 267 on the money line. Tennessee also has the Heupel Bowl next week in Neyland. I believe they are hosting Oklahoma. So we've got the Josh Heupel Bowl next week, and a little look ahead spot for the Vols. Sandwich spot. You had Alabama, got Oklahoma next week. and little old Kentucky just in the bluegrass, just waiting to sneak up on them. So I think Kentucky's live here. I don't know if they'll win the game, but I'm more than happy to take 9 points here with the Wildcats.
All right.
All
Back
right,
in
we
Big
got two
Blue.
games left. We got 2 games left. I don't know if you have anything on them. I have just a couple of. I don't have any best bets, but just some info. Houston Cougars, 7 p.m. travels to take on the Arizona State Sun Devils. You have anything for us in this game?
I think this is going to be a dogfight. I think it's going to be a pretty low scoring game. Jordan Tyson will not be suiting up, I believe, for Arizona State. He is
Oh,
by,
really?
I believe so. Yeah, he's by far and away their top receiver.
Yeah,
Um,
best player by far.
yeah. Um, Houston's defense, I don't think is quite as good as the numbers suggest, but they are coached well and they play hard.
Yep.
Um, Offensively, yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle. It's improved though from last year. The offensive line still a work in progress. Maybe it'll be better in the third year
Hmm.
um, of the Willie Fritz era. Um, Man, it's 7.5. I think right now across the marketplace.
Yeah, I'm seeing a 7 at Bet Online, but it's juiced to Arizona State, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's 7.5s lurking around or available.
You wonder how Arizona State will play in the first half,
It's
specifically
big.
coming off the emotional win against
Yep,
Texas Tech.
exactly.
I still trust that Sun Devil defense, though.
They're good.
I do think they are a legit defense,
And the
better
Houston
than the
offense
numbers.
isn't anything special, so, you
Um,
know,
I lean under here, to be honest with y'all, but I
total
don't like to bet on.
45.5.
Yeah, I don't like to bet on totals. And wait, what is there? What is the chance that Arizona State kind of comes out a little slow? Houston gets
Yeah,
like a 10-0 lead, and at halftime it's like 14 to like 17-10, and you're already kind of sweating out if you were to take the under.
yeah.
So I'm not gonna have a play on the total here because DDSN Nation, I said a month ago, count how many times I have plays on the total. I have one so far, and I lost it, and I may not have another play on the total this year. We'll see. But
Yeah.
nothing from me on this matchup.
Yeah, for me, I've been back in Houston a lot this season. A lot of their toughest games have been at home. Now they'll travel on the road. Arizona will have a hot environment. Um, I just like you said, I could see this being a low scoring game. ASU coming off of a huge win, but it's Wegman. Wegman's still the quarterback of Houston, and I can't trust them against a strong ASU defense. Arizona actually carved up the Houston defense last week. Houston still won, but Arizona did move the football on the Cougars. So nothing for me here. I could easily see this being a 6 3-point game. Defensive game from Houston. They maybe a look ahead spot when they played Arizona. So I can see this being a tight game. I can see Arizona State coming out slow, but it's not something I want to bet on because I don't fully trust the quarterback for Houston. So nothing for me in this game.
Yeah, I will not have any best bets here.
All right, last game of the night, the get out game, 9:15. Colorado Buffs coming off of a bye, I believe, at the Utah Utes. Utes laying 13.5 at home. You have anything here?
No, that's a pretty large number there, and Colorado has been playing a little bit better as of late, but I still don't think they're all that good. Maybe Utah bounces back, but maybe they're still feeling that Holy War loss.
Yeah.
So I'm also not sure if Utah's going to be fully healthy on offense, at quarterback specifically. So I don't have anything here.
Okay. Yeah. And it looks like Utah, not necessarily a look ahead spot, but they do have a ranked, as of right now, a ranked Cincinnati next week. But yeah, Colorado, maybe if I was getting 14 points, I'd take a shot with the Buffs late at night for some entertainment. But I can't really, be confident backing either of these teams or numbers right now. So nothing for me. If it gets to 14, maybe throw a flyer on Colorado last game of the night. But again, it's nothing I'm confident on. Just the last game of the night is all.
So, I do have one other best bet.
Oh,
Uh,
go ahead. I wasn't sure if you had one and I skipped over the game or not, but go ahead.
I tweeted this out a couple days ago. Um, I think this is a good buy low spot on this team. I think. Give me Buffalo minus 9.5 hosting Akron.
Oh,
So Akron offensively, it's a struggle bus, man. Their team total I think is like around 17, 16 and a half or 17 and a half.
uh-huh.
I lean under there, both 16 and a half or 17 and a half. But Buffalo's offense has actually been a little bit better as of late. They got back their starting quarterback. He's getting healthier and healthier now. Roberson, the former Penn State kid, and I think he played at UConn
Okay.
a little while. He has a lot more upside than what Buffalo was rolling out for a couple of weeks earlier this season. Believe it or not, I know Buffalo has not been good against the number. By the way, Buffalo was 0-3 against the spread in MAC play, but they're undefeated still overall in conference. This was a team that I was pretty high on in the summer. Akron, a team that I was very low on.
Yep.
You're giving me single digits here at home, and I know Buffalo hasn't covered a spread, but it's in conference play. But at some point, they will, especially now that they're getting healthier. Offensively, I think they can put up some points, and defensively, I think they're going to shut down Akron. So give me Buffalo minus 9.5. You can find that everywhere right now. Anywhere you look, not even having to lay much juice on that right now. Except for maybe I did see one sports book that has some decent juice, but everywhere you can find it 9.5 at most places at a pretty good price. If they don't cover the spread, DDSN Nation, I will not be on Buffalo spread wise for at least a little while, but I think this is a good spot for them. This is kind of like UTSA against Rice a couple weeks ago. I wouldn't be shocked if Buffalo blows Akron out. Is there a scenario where, Buffalo maybe is just not as good as what we think? Sure. Yeah. Maybe that's the case. But again, if there is a good buy low opportunity with Buffalo, it's this week. And I'm going with the home team here, obviously, which I love to do with my best bets. So lock it up. Give me the Bulls minus 9.5 hosting the Zips.
All right. I like it. And while we're on that, why don't you go ahead and run through because that was everything, right? We went through all your best bets. All right, well, let's go ahead and let's wrap up the show here and go ahead and run through your best bets. I know you got a few of
them. So as we just discussed, I got Buffalo minus 9.5 versus Akron. Southern Miss, per usual. I laid minus 10 earlier this week. It was one of my first bets that I gave out. That's now 13.5. There might be a 12.5 out there. Anything under 14, lay it with the Golden Eagles. Until they do not cover a spread in Sun Belt play, or I should say until they are not the right side, we are going to keep riding Southern Miss. Colorado State, plus 5.5 in Laramie. That's the firing the head coach bump. Teams that are coming off of firing their head coach, 6-1 against the spread. Give me Colorado State plus 5.5 against a team in Wyoming that I'm not high on. Give me FAU plus 15.5 at Navy. The spread's now 14. I still think that's playable with FAU. It's a look-ahead spot for Navy, and Navy has been just getting by here as of late, and I think FAU can move the football on the midshipmen. Give me Wake Forest plus 3.5. The spread is now plus 2.5 for Wake Forest to plus 3. I think both are playable because I like Wake Forest outright. I think they are alive to win this game. So also sprinkle some Wake Forest on the money line. Same with Colorado State on the money line. And, long shot, FAU a little bit on the money line as well. And then two more best bets here. Oh, real quick, Wake Forest hosting SMU. SMU, major sandwich spot for them. Coming off the Clemson victory, SMU hosts Miami next week. That's also part of the play. Wake Forest coming off of a bye. Give me Iowa minus 8.5 hosting Minnesota. Everyone's going to be on Minnesota plus 8.5 because of the low game total and the low volatility in the game. Did you guys know that Kirk Ferentz against PJ Fleck, 7-1 against the spread? Give me Iowa minus 8.5 there. Also getting some revenge on Minnesota because the last time Iowa hosted Minnesota, they lost to the Golden Gophers. That's not happening this time. And then give me LSU plus 2.5. No one wants to back LSU at this point. Give me LSU plus 2.5. Hosting Texas A&M. It's Death Valley at night, and you're giving me LSU plus value here. Give me LSU again. Give me the Bayou Bengals plus 2.5, and of course, give me LSU outright.
All right, there you have it. I like it. All right, we'll go over mine here. 15, 11, and 4 on the season. First one is the Kansas State Wildcats plus 3 at Kansas. I've got Arkansas hosting Auburn, laying 2.5. Vanderbilt hosting Missouri, laying 2.5. And another 2.5 with Iowa State hosting BYU. And Kentucky plus 9 at home. I like all of these. If you're a little scared, go ahead and take the money line on Arkansas, Vandy, and Iowa State. Pay a little bit of a higher price. I get it. I believe it's probably an extra 25 cents or so if you want to stay, not chances spreads here. I get it, but I'm going to go ahead and lay these 2.5s. Either they're going to be glorious and all cash, or it could be a nightmare. So I don't think I've ever bet 2.5s like this, but we'll see how it goes. But those are my top 5 best bets. We're definitely riding a winning streak here. That's everything that I have. Do you have anything you want to close with here, CFE?
Back-to-back winning weeks for both of us.
Yeah.
In fact, John, you've only had one losing week this entire season.
Yep.
And you had with our best bets here, with our graphic at least, you were 2, 1, and 2 last week. 2 pushes.
Yeah.
Only lost with South Carolina. And like you said, you're no longer backing Shane Beamer.
Yeah, no, never again.
But yeah, we are riding a hot streak here at Desert Dweller, and we will look to keep it rolling. And as you guys can see, this is the most loaded slate for an individual weekend that I have ever had. I have 7 best bets, and I love every single one of them.
I like it. Yep, I like it. And my honorable mentions, which maybe I fire away on Saturday morning, which I would tweet out, and that's going to be Oklahoma, Memphis. We'll see what I do there, but those aren't my best bets. Those are just some that I'm waiting and looking at the numbers, though.
Sounds good. I think we've got some really good plays here.
Yeah,
And I do want to point out some of the movement here with some of the earlier plays that I gave out. So like Southern Miss, I lead minus 10. It's now minus 13.5. Colorado State plus 5.5. It's now down to plus 4.5, plus 5. I think there might even be some plus 4s out there.
Yeah.
Plus 15.5 for FAU. That's now down to plus 14. Wake Forest plus 3.5. You can no longer find any hook out there. It's plus 2.5 to plus 3. Iowa is getting bet like crazy right now, actually. There's a lot of 9s and 9.5s out there right now. DraftKings still has an 8.5 if you want to get on that. And LSU plus 2.5. That's probably going to stay at 2.5. So.
All right. I like it. That's everything for us. Let's go ahead. Thank you for everyone that tuned in, follows along on Twitter at CFE Grind, and ourselves at DDSN_US on Twitter. I'll be putting up the clips on YouTube. So go ahead, let us know what you think before, after the game. I know there's a lot of haters afterwards, but we'll do our best to make sure that doesn't happen with another winning week, our 3rd in a row. We're shooting for it. All right, we'll see y'all. Go ahead and follow us, and we'll see y'all hopefully on Monday. We'll see y'all.